coming to you live from central Pennsylvania, where in just a few minutes we expect to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa talking about the lockdown and what's going to happen next in South Africa. So we'll see what will happen here. Let me see if I can get up to, that's not what I'm looking for. Let me get back to my channel here and see if I can't listen to my microphone, make sure we got it, because we've had some technical issues here so far today. And I'm getting an advert here. Let's get past the advert. Come on. Any second. There we go. All right. Oh, now I'm getting an eBay advert. So let's see. Erica's here. Catherine's here. Olaf is here. Welcome to you guys. Couldn't find your shovels. You're making popcorn. The popcorn's awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Let's see. All right. Sounds good. Okay. I'm happy with that. Good to go. Just want to make sure it sounded pretty good, folks. Good to hear you guys out there. So we're waiting for Ramaphosa to go live. He's supposed to go top of the hour and talking about the lockdown South Africa. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share this with you once again. If you'd like to help out your fellow South Africans and you're in South Africa, those less fortunate, you might take a look at this this honorable charity here, folks, and that's called Farmers Aid South Africa SA. They have a hunger outreach program to help do food parcel donations to help hungry South Africans, particularly those who are farmers or who've worked on farms. So feel free to check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, there's some contact information right there. It includes our own Erica in Durban. There's a contact number. If you'd like to help out people who are in need, if you have the means to do it, and particularly during this difficult time during pandemic, during which the African National Congress has sought to destroy South Africa's economy. So please, folks, if you have the ability to help out, here it is right there. So there's banking details if you can do a bank transfer if you'd like to FNB. And there's the information right there. And this should be very helpful for folks. So, yeah, these parcels are wonderful. They do a great job. And, in fact, the person's put this all together. We're going to have him interviewed on the channel sometime here in the coming days, probably after I teach next week. So we'll get that set up with Erica's help. But anyway, folks, you know, it's always good that one nice thing about our species is that we are charitable. We give. We recognize when others are suffering and in need. And so if you're able to do it in South Africa, folks, please reach out with whatever you can do to help out, because a lot of people are in desperate need of food. All right, so there you go, Farmers Aid. So I'm waiting for the ENCA feed to come up. I would put it on the screen, but I can't quite get the screen right. So I don't want the chat to show up in here because it's the YouTube feed. So I have to wait. So once it comes on, I'll see if I can get it to come up, and I'll reduce the size of mine and put that full screen, or we'll work it out. Anyway, so folks, thanks for tuning in. We have let's see who we got here with a small number of folks, but that's fine. I appreciate you guys being here. So let me get back to, what is going on here? Sorry, I'm looking at my channel and something's not quite kosher. Okay, so let me get back to that. Anyway, yeah, so for those of you who were just with me a few minutes ago on the previous stream talking about my trip to Wyoming, how cool was that? That was really exciting stuff. Looking forward to it. Morning Shot's got 800 people tuned in for his stream at the moment, and Ronaldo is not showing up at all on my feed. Now, why is Ronaldo not showing up? YouTube is at it again. But Ronaldo has 3,500 people watching. Wow. Whoa, good for Ronaldo. All right, let's see. Aha, his stream with Steve Hofmeyer has been postponed. What happened there? Did Ronaldo anger Steve Hofmeyer again? I'm going to have to ask Ronaldo what happened. He made such a big deal about getting Steve Hofmeyer on his channel, and I got Steve. I talked to Steve and got him hooked up, and it looks like he's not on his channel. So what's happening there? Going to have to check in with Ronaldo and see what happened, folks. Anyway, so any more feedback? Anybody pay attention to what's happening with the biker rally? Did we get any more feedback on that while I was gone the past week? I hadn't seen anything, so. Let me see. I can get back here. All right. So, yeah, there we go. Right. Sorry, my stuff is not quite working right here. There we go. Now I'm on track. Okay, that's live. Okay, we got 29 watching. Thank you guys, 29 for tuning in. I appreciate it. And we're still waiting on the ENCA feed, which is supposed to have started 2 minutes ago. Let me I'm going to reload the page and make sure that I'm not simply making a mistake here and he's not actually on. No, he's not on. But this is normal for politicians. They show up late. 57 million prisoners, that's quite a lot. Twice the population of my country. Where are you at, Authentic Max? That's twice as much. No, the shovel is for all the mad that Cyril is going to dish out. Indeed, that may in fact be the case. All the turds that he's going to share. Well, we'll see what Cyril Ramaphosa has to say. But folks, his internet computer bombed out, so now. All right, Adrian says hello again. Nepal. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Authentic Max. Yeah. I didn't realize Nepal had 25 million people. I thought you were closer to about 18 to 20 million people. So thank you for that. Brett's here. Hey, the Economic Council of West African Nations have rejected the proposal of Mali's military government. Not surprising. It's actually good news. So, folks, we are still waiting for the stream. Once I've got it, we'll get it up there for you, but nothing at the moment. So, anyway, yes. So, yeah, I'm coming back in full force today with a prepared video on Governor Tom Wolf's lockdown restrictions being declared unconstitutional by a federal judge, Judge Strickman, in Western Pennsylvania. That took place on Monday, and the implications are still rolling out today. That was my video, first video back earlier today. And then I did a live stream talking about my trip to Wyoming. And okay, here it comes now. Oops, nope, psych. Not quite ready yet. Yep. And then this one here for Cyril Ramaphosa. Hopefully it'll be a short one. And then I'll do a Night Owls edition after I go collect my post from Carlisle, which I need to do. Mali's government wants an 18-month transition period before turning to civil rule. Of course they do, and they'll extend that. No, it's just more nonsense. Oh, here we go. Here we go, folks. Okay, just a second. Oh, come on. He's on now. Sorry.
Passed since we declared a national state of disaster in response to the coronavirus pandemic. In that time, more than 15,000 South Africans have lost their lives to the disease, and more than 650,000 have been confirmed as infected. Our economy and our society have suffered great devastation. We have endured a fierce and destructive storm. But by standing together, by remaining resolute, we have withstood that storm. 2 months ago, at the height of the storm, we were recording around 12,000 new cases a day. It seemed quite alarming, and it was. Now we are on average recording less than 2,000 cases a day. We now have a recovery rate of 89%, which could go possibly to 98% in time. Even as restrictions have eased over the last month with our move to alert level 2, there has been a gradual but steady decline in new infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. Demand for hospital beds, ventilators, oxygen, and other essential medical requirements has also reduced steadily. We have succeeded in overcoming the worst phase of this epidemic while protecting the capacity of our health system. I wish to applaud you all, the people of South Africa, for this achievement and for the thousands of lives that have been saved through our collective actions. This achievement has also been recognized by the World Health Organization, which has been working closely with us to strengthen our response. As we said earlier, they have continued, that is the World Health Organization, to give us advice and have even deployed their top experts to our country. We are grateful for all the support we received from Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the World Health Organization, and his colleagues in Geneva, as well as the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention at the AU in Addis Ababa. Although we have made remarkable progress, a number of our people are still getting infected, and some are losing their lives. By any measure, we are still in the midst of a deadly epidemic. Our greatest challenge now, and our most important task, is to ensure that we do not experience a new surge in infections. Several countries around the world have been hit by a second wave or a resurgence of infections. We want to avoid this. A number of these countries had passed the peak of the disease and had seemingly brought the virus under control. Some of them had even lifted most of the restrictions on economic and social activity. In many cases, the second wave has been more severe than the first. Several countries have had to reimpose hard lockdowns to deal with the resurgence. Our public health response is now focused on further reducing the transmission of the virus and preparing for a possible resurge. We have now taken a decision to keep increasing coronavirus testing. Due to the decline in new infections and the reduced pressure on our health facilities, we now have sufficient testing capacity to expand the criteria for testing. Among the categories of people we will now be able to test are all those who are admitted to hospital, those who are outpatients at our hospitals with COVID symptoms, and individuals who have been in close contact with confirmed cases, whether or not they themselves have symptoms. Alongside increased testing, we're improving contact tracing through the deployment of the COVID Alert South Africa mobile phone app and the COVID Connect WhatsApp platform. Effective testing and contact tracing systems will allow us to quickly identify and contain outbreaks before they spread further. I want to make a call this evening to everyone who has a smartphone in South Africa to download the COVID Alert mobile app from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. The app has been zero rated by mobile networks, so you can download it without any data costs. Using mobile technology, particularly Bluetooth, the app will alert any user if they have been in close contact with any other user who has tested positive for coronavirus in the past 14 days.
Stigma.
The app is completely anonymous. It does not gather any personal information, nor does it track anybody's movements or location.
Lies.
So it is safe to use.
BS.
The Department of Health has also developed WhatsApp and SMS systems for people without smartphones to provide them with test results and alert them to any possible exposure to the virus. Contact tracing is an important preventative measure to protect yourself and your close family and friends.
Then why haven't you done it since the beginning?
We will be undertaking a nationwide survey to assess the actual levels of infection within society. This survey, known as a seroprevalence survey, uses antibody tests to see if a person has been exposed to the coronavirus. A nationwide study will allow scientists to estimate the extent of asymptomatic infections and immunity within the population, as well as better understand the transmission patterns of the virus. We continue to maintain our healthcare capacity to ensure that we are able to manage any possible outbreaks of infections effectively and to ensure that everybody receives the care that they need. The Department of Health is working closely with trade unions and other stakeholders to ensure that all healthcare and other frontline workers have the necessary personal protective equipment and safe working conditions. I wish to thank the nation's frontline workers for raising the issue of their safety and the safety of the environment in which they work so sharply and so consistently. I wish to thank them for their dedication to caring for our people and for the enormous sacrifices they have made. While we are working to prevent further transmission of the virus, we are also preparing for the time when a vaccine becomes available. To ensure that South Africa is able to access an effective vaccine as quickly as possible and in sufficient quantities to protect our population, the country is participating in a global initiative supported by the World Health Organization to pool resources for the development and distribution of a vaccine.
This is comical.
Through this initiative, South Africa joins other countries in supporting several vaccine development programs and seeking equitable access to successful vaccines at a lower cost. Through our position as the chair of the African Union, we have been advocating for equitable access on every platform we've spoken to across the globe so that no country should be left behind. We are also investing in our own capacity to produce and distribute a vaccine locally so that South Africa can play a key role in the effort to expand access to vaccines. Our country is already participating in 3 vaccine trials, demonstrating the capability of our scientific community. My fellow South Africans, a month ago, the significant decrease in new infections enabled the country to move to coronavirus alert level 2. Now, with the further progress we've made as infections have come down, we are now ready for a new phase in our response to the pandemic. We have withstood the coronavirus storm. Now is the time to return our country, its people, and our economy to a situation that is more normal, that more resembles the lives that we were living 6 months ago.
Unless you're a minority.
It is time to move to what will become what we call our new normal, for as long as the coronavirus is with us. While much economic activity resumed from June, it is now time to remove as many of the remaining restrictions on economic and social activity as it is reasonably safe to do. Following consultations with a number of stakeholders, provincial, local government, traditional leaders, and drawing on the advice of scientists and engagements with various stakeholders, Cabinet decided this morning that the country should now move to alert level 1.
Whoa.
The move to alert level 1 will take effect from midnight on Sunday, the 20th of September 2020. This move recognizes that levels of infections are relatively low and that there is sufficient capacity in our health system to manage the current need. The move to alert level 1 will mean a further easing of restrictions on gatherings. Social, religious, political, and other gatherings will now be permitted as long as the number of people does not exceed 50% of the normal capacity of a venue or the facility. But this must only be to a maximum of 250 people for indoor gatherings and 500 people for outdoor gatherings. Health protocols such as washing or sanitizing of hands, social distancing, and mask wearing will need to be strictly observed. The maximum number of people who may attend a funeral is increased from 50 to 100 due to the higher risk of viral transmission at funerals. Night vigils are still not permitted. Venues for exercise, recreation, and entertainment, such as gyms and theaters, which were limited to no more than 50 people, will now be allowed to accommodate up to 50% of their venue's capacity as determined by the available floor space, subject to social distancing and other health protocols. Existing restrictions on sporting events remain in place. Where required for the purposes of voter registration or special voting, the Independent Electoral Commission will be allowed to visit correctional centers, health facilities, old age homes, and other similar institutions to do their work. This will be subject to all the health protocols, which will include the wearing of masks and washing of hands and sanitizing of hands as well. One of the earliest measures we took to contain the spread of the virus was to severely restrict international arrivals and to close our borders. With a move to alert level 1, we will gradually and cautiously ease restrictions on international travel. We will be allowing travel into and out of South Africa for business, leisure, and other travel with effect from the 1st of October 2020. This is subject to various containment and mitigation measures. Travel may be restricted to and from certain countries that have high infection rates. A list of those countries will be published, and it will be based on the latest scientific data that we will be able to get on those countries. Travelers will only be able to use one of the land border posts that have remained operational during the lockdown, or one of the 3 main airports: King Shaka International, OR Tambo International, and Cape Town International airports. On arrival, travelers will need to present a negative COVID-19 test results not older than 72 hours from the time of departure, from whence they will have come from. Where a traveler has not done a COVID-19 test prior to departure, they will be required to remain in mandatory quarantine at their own cost. All travelers will be screened on arrival, and those presenting or exhibiting symptoms will be required to remain in quarantine until a repeat COVID-19 test is conducted. All travelers will be asked to install the COVID Alert South Africa mobile app. Countries that have used this type of app have been able to manage the coronavirus pandemic quite effectively.
Lies.
In preparation for the reopening of our borders, South African missions abroad will open for visa applications, and all long-term visas will be reinstated. The tourism sector is one of our greatest economic drivers.
It was before you destroyed it.
We are ready to open our doors again to the world and invite travelers to enjoy our mountains, our beaches, our vibrant cities, and our wildlife game parks in safety and confidence.
And your starving citizens?
Also, as part of the gradual return to regular economic and social activity, the hours of curfew have been changed. The curfew will now apply between midnight and 4 a.m. The sale of alcohol at retail outlets for home consumption is now permitted from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 1700. Alcohol will be permitted for on-site consumption in licensed establishments only and with strict adherence to the curfew. In the next few days, the updated regulations will be published and ministers will provide detailed briefings on all these measures. The Department of Public Service and Administration will shortly issue circulars to all public servants on the measures that will enable the return of all areas of government to full operation safely and without undue delay. Because there are several remaining restrictions that can only be enacted through disaster regulations, we have already extended the national state of disaster by a month to the 15th of October 2020. The move to alert level 1 removes many of the remaining restrictions on economic activity, although it may be some time before it is safe and capable for all sectors to return to full operation.
Until all minority businesses are destroyed.
Global and domestic demand and supply of goods and services for some sectors will remain low for the foreseeable future, regardless of the lifting of restrictions. It is therefore vital that we move with urgency to rebuild our economy, to restore growth, and to create jobs. Following several weeks of engagement, the social partners at NEDLEC have made tremendous progress on an ambitious social compact for economic recovery. This represents a historic milestone for our country, demonstrating what can be achieved when we unite to confront an urgent crisis. Cabinet will build on this emerging common ground to finalize the country's economic reconstruction and recovery plan in the coming weeks. The reconstruction and recovery plan will be finalized, but it will also build on the 500 billion economic and social relief package we announced in April, which has provided vital support for households, companies, and workers at a time of dire need for our country.
If they were majority groups.
Through the special COVID-19 grants and the top-up of existing grants, well over 30 billion in additional support has already been provided directly to more than 16 million people from poor households.
Handouts, welfare.
More than 800,000 companies have benefited through the UIF wage support scheme and through the grants and loans provided by various government departments and public entities.
And private individuals, bonehead.
More than 4 million workers have received 42 billion rand in wage support, helping to protect these jobs even while companies were not able to operate.
How many billions of dollars did cadre steal?
This support has touched the lives of millions of South Africans and has made a real difference to those in greatest need. The UIF benefit has been extended until the end of the national state of disaster to ensure that those workers and companies whose income remains at risk can continue to be supported. In addition to those businesses that have received direct support, many more companies have benefited from tax relief measures worth in the region of 70 billion rand. And millions of South Africans have benefited from the historic reduction in the interest rates that have been announced by the central bank. Adjustments have been made to the loan guarantee scheme that was announced when we announced the 500 billion relief assistance measures to make it easier for companies of any size to access credit at low interest rates with repayments delayed for as much as 12 months.
At least he can read from a teleprompter.
We encourage all companies that have faced a disruption of their earnings to seek support from this scheme while the economy recovers. At the beginning of the pandemic, we appealed to South Africans to demonstrate their solidarity and patriotism by supporting governments and our national effort in dealing with the pandemic.
And criminalizing people.
We established the Solidarity Fund,
And stole from it.
which to date has received some 300,000 donations from a variety of sources, from almost 15,000 individuals and nearly 2,500 companies. The donations came from ordinary people and workers, industrial workers, public service workers, religious organizations, political parties, non-governmental organizations, members of parliament, trusts and foundations.
Generous suckers.
Through its work, the Solidarity Fund has demonstrated the power of social partnership and cooperation.
And how else to steal money?
Since it was established, it has raised over 3.1 billion rand in donations from the variety of people I spoke about, and companies and trusts. It has to date allocated 2.4 billion to support key areas of our national coronavirus response. These include the purchase of testing equipment, medical supplies, and personal protective equipment, and has also enhanced the local manufacture of ventilators.
And enriched cadres.
It extends its help and assistance to food relief for vulnerable households through vouchers for subsistence farmers, care for survivors of gender-based violence, and a national COVID awareness campaign.
BS.
Fellow South Africans, violence against women and children has continued unabated during the period of the pandemic. We are determined as a government to continue with our resolve to deal with the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide.
Lies, lies, lies.
Based on the latest data, we have identified 30 hotspots around the country where the problem is most rife. As we move to the next alert level, we are increasing and improving support services for survivors of gender-based violence, particularly in the identified hotspots. We have to do so not just because the lockdown is being eased, but as part of work already underway to implement the National Strategic Plan adopted by Cabinet earlier this year, as it was drafted by the women of our country.
After 26 years of neglecting
This
it.
includes the rollout of an integrated and multidisciplinary model that incorporates psychosocial support, case investigation, housing services, and economic empowerment for survivors under one roof. The Khuseleka one-stop centers expand on the mandate of the existing network of Thuthuzela care centers and are already operational in districts in Northwest, Limpopo, and in the Eastern Cape. Work is underway to expand this model of care and support to the women of our country to all provinces. Let us spare no effort to eradicate the problem of violence against women and children in South Africa. The coronavirus pandemic has exposed the extent to which corruption has infected our society and robbed our country of vital resources at the time we need them most.
You need a corona to tell your
Our
party
law
was corrupt?
enforcement agencies are making important progress in investigating all allegations of misuse of COVID-related funds. The Special Investigating Unit has submitted its first interim report to me, detailing the progress of its investigations in all provinces and in some national departments and entities. As the SIU concludes its investigations, we will be in a position to make public their findings. The SIU is working alongside 8 other agencies in the Fusion Center to detect, investigate, and prosecute any instances of corruption. As part of the effort to encourage transparency and accountability, the National Treasury has published online the details of all COVID-related contracts awarded by public entities at national and provincial level. This is a historic development in our country that we hope will set a precedent for all future expenditure of taxpayers' money of this nature. The Office of the Auditor General has also played an extremely valuable role in identifying weaknesses and risks in the management of COVID resources and detecting cases of possible fraud for investigation by the agencies represented in the Fusion Center. We continue to work to strengthen our anti-corruption efforts through measures to provide the NPA and other law enforcement agencies with the human and financial resources needed to tackle corruption, strengthening of specialized commercial crime courts, which will help expedite COVID-related cases, and the finalization of the new National Anti-Corruption Strategy.
Wah, 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 wah.
We are determined to ensure that the worst of this pandemic is behind us.
Oh, it's still coming,
We
genius.
cannot afford a resurgence of infections in our country. A second wave would be devastating to our country and would again disrupt our lives and livelihoods. It is up to each and every one of us as South Africans to ensure that this does not happen. As we settle into a new normal and learn to live alongside the coronavirus, we must continue to exercise every possible precaution to avoid infecting others. This is how we are going to keep ourselves safe and keep our economy open. Firstly, I must repeat this because this is an important message that all of us as South Africans must keep in mind. We must wear a mask whenever we are in public and make sure that it covers both the nose and the mouth. Secondly, we must maintain a distance of 1.5 meters from other people at all times and ensure that we are in spaces that are well ventilated. Thirdly, we must continue to wash our hands or use hand sanitizers regularly. Fourthly, we must download the COVID Alert South Africa app and protect our families and communities. In just over a week from now, South Africans will celebrate Heritage Day under conditions that will be better in many ways from what we have experienced over the last 6 months. Last 6 months have been difficult for all of us. I urge everyone to use this public holiday, Heritage Day, as family time to reflect on the difficult journey we have all traveled, to remember those who have lost their lives, and to quietly rejoice in the remarkable and diverse heritage of our nation. And there can be no better way to celebrate our South Africanness than joining the global phenomenon that is spreading across the world, and that is the Jerusalem Dance Challenge. The Jerusalem song that I love so much. So I urge all of you to take up this challenge on Heritage Day and show the world what we are capable of. Our performers have demonstrated to the world that we've got good music and good dance and good moves. So quietly, let us celebrate our heritage. Just as we have acted together to defeat this virus, we must roll up our sleeves and get to work rebuilding our economy. We have a mammoth task ahead of us. It will take the combined effort of each and every South African to restore our nation to prosperity and development. This is now the task of our generation, and our work starts today. We have overcome doubt and cynicism to confront the worst public health threat in living memory. We have shown what South Africans are capable of when we join forces and work together. Let us hold on to that spirit of unity and solidarity. Let us move forward with determination and resolve. May God continue to bless our beautiful country, South Africa, and her people. I thank you.
Bye-bye, Cyril. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how do you think that was? Let's go ahead and get myself back up here on the screen really large. Wow, that was torturous to watch, was it not? It certainly was for me. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but wow. Let's run through some of the highlights of Cyril's speech. Ouch, 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 ouch. That was painful to listen to. But thank goodness we have Jerusalem and we can dance and save ourselves from the Rona. Rona, Rona. My recommendation would be to watch the Kifnis's Jerusalem version of Julius Malema. Now, that was a very good video. That'd be my recommendation, not to listen to Cyril. He seems to be detached from reality, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard to believe this buffoon is president of a country. It is absolutely astonishing, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely astonishing. Well, let's get back to what I want to talk about here, folks. Why is my video not coming up there? So just a second here. I'm going to pull up my video. Anyway, let's run through some of the highlights here, or the lowlights of President Cyril Ramaphosa's conversation here about what he's talking about. Let me get to that. Point out some of the things he did here, just so that we're on track. He says that the number of cases are down to 2,000 per day, and that's wonderful. Well, I disagree, because that still makes it about the highest in all of Africa. So, gosh, so impressive. Thank you so much for that. Really lovely update there. Appreciate it there, Cyril Ramaphosa. But sorry, I'm reloading the video here, and I've got a Joe Biden ad, which is driving me nuts. Okay, there we go. All right, so 2,000 cases per day says that they've saved thousands of lives. Of course, you can't dispute that, because this is just counterfactual. How do you prove that you didn't save lives? How do you prove that you could have saved more lives? Well, you can't. It's a counterfactual. So that's a fraudulent claim to make. Recognizing... they were recognized by the World Health Organization for their efforts. Well, that's not something I would put on my CV. And he thanked the World Health Organization for deploying their experts to South Africa. Well, I think you can keep your World Health Organization political stooges away from my country, because we're not interested in them. Yep. All right, so let's see. Greatest challenge is to ensure there's no new surge. I thought the surge already occurred after you lowered the standards back in June. Make up your mind, Cyril. Is there a continuous wave, a sine wave of surges and dips? Is that what we're dealing with here? Get your language straight. Quit changing the story. Yes, public health response is ready. You say your public health response is ready. You're increasing testing. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, I thought was quite comical. They're going to test anybody. Apparently, they have enough test kits now they can test anybody. So asymptomatic people will be tested. Outpatients at hospitals who are not sick will be tested. Resources are so available now that they'll be able to test anybody. When did that suddenly become possible? Did they stop stealing money from the relief funds and they've, instead of letting it go into the pockets of cadre, now goes into the actual need? Maybe that's why it's possible. They're improving contact tracing. Why have they waited 6 months to improve contact tracing? Contact tracing by now ought to be second nature and perfected. And oh, by the way, if the South African government had been such arrogant asses for the past 12 years, they could have long ago improved contact tracing by participating more effectively in the pandemic response program that U.S. Africa Command offered to governments across the continent, including Nigeria, which has done a brilliant job with its contact tracing, starting with the Ebola crisis in 2013, 2014, and again with this virus today. So if the ANC really gave a flying flip about this issue, then they would have long ago perfected contact tracing. But they're just buffoons and they're lying. So, oh, by the way, folks, rush out and sign up for the mobile communist tracking app. I'm going to be sure to download that right now. Not. So that you self-identify, so that stigma can be applied. Remember the stigma associated with HIV and the disastrous impact that had because people were stigmatized with HIV? Can you imagine stigmatization with COVID? Especially for the uneducated, the illiterate, and the terrified people who don't know better about the virus and don't understand epidemiology. People being told to stand 1.5 meters apart because apparently that's safe, which is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. When a cough, a sneeze travels 24 feet, 16 meters. 24 feet. The particles from your sneeze can travel up to 16 meters, ladies and gentlemen. So why are you standing 1.5 meters apart? A cough can travel 16 feet. Yeah, 16 feet. So about 8 or 9 meters. So why are we standing 1.5 meters apart? Stupidity, unscientific nonsense perpetuated by buffoons in governance around the world. Your cough and your sneeze travel 3, 4, 5 times as far as the distance they're telling you to stand apart. So what is that all about? The mobile app. I don't think I'll be signing up for the mobile app, folks. Yeah, spyware. Talk about spyware. Yeah, how much of our personal financial data will it be downloading, identifying our locations, tracking us down, tracking our movements? Yeah, zero cost for data? Well, of course, because it makes it easier for them to collect the data. They will improve WhatsApp and SMS. Huh? You know, you got people across South Africa who are starving to death, ladies and gentlemen, who don't have mobile phones or phones at all, who don't have anything. How are you going to reach them? And this is perhaps my favorite part of the whole discussion before we get into the actual lockdown conditions. Let's talk about this. The government of South Africa is going to ensure equitable access for the vaccine or a vaccine. Let me translate that into the language that it really is. That means that South Africa is going to try to shame the wealthy nations of the world who will devote their billions of dollars of resources and research and energy to creating a vaccine into demanding that it be given free. That's what that means. The government of South Africa will demand that we give them free access to the vaccine. That's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. So whoever develops it, whether it's Russia or it's the United Kingdom or the United States most likely, or Canada or the Netherlands, whoever develops it, whether it's AstraZeneca or it's Abbott or it's Novartis, it doesn't matter. The demand will be that this virus be given away for free. That's what we call equitable access. That's what I call horse manure. Horse manure. Now, I don't think it's wise to hoard the vaccine. If you find an effective vaccine, it makes sense to deploy it around the world. But they want it for free. For free. Another free ride from the government that has stolen tens of billions of dollars from South Africans' pockets from the public fiscus. Yeah, of course. Not surprising. Welcome to Cloud Cuckoo Land South, just below the original Cloud Cuckoo Land in Zimbabwe. So, yeah. Now, why are these things only taking place on the 20th of September? Why don't they take place immediately? Why are these restrictions that are being eased not being done with immediate effect? Is there some scientific basis for delaying it for 3 days? I doubt that. Now, some of you here had some really cogent conversation comments. Let me get to those very quickly. I want to point out some of the comments that came up at key points in this. So let's see. Let me start with, where are they at? They're not here. I'll be darned. Sorry. That is not... Oh, I lost them. Sorry. You had some really good comments here earlier, and they all disappeared. I don't know where they went. Shame. Let me see if I have another file open that I actually pasted them in. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so Recreation said it's supposed to track you. He said, Ramaphosa says the app will not track you. But how does that make any sense, ladies and gentlemen? How can you trust this man when he says the app will not track you and your movements, but the app will be used to identify people who are positive? So how are you identifying the positive people if you're not tracking them, you genius? Wow. And this is the brilliant business mind that South Africans had Ramaphosa for. Remember that, Ramaphosa? Suckers. Every one of you that fell for that are a sucker. Don't mean to insult you. I'm just telling you you're a sucker. I didn't fall for it. Told you this guy was not a brilliant business person. He's been part of this government for years. The deputy president under Jacob Zuma. Responsible for Marikana. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you are spot on, Recreation. It's supposed to track you. So how can you use it if it doesn't track you? Ronald Gant says, so how much is ANC getting for the app? That's a good question. Brett says, China used the app to track voices of dissent, as will the South African intelligence services use it to track dissent. That is the bottom line. Jan Oberholzer said, my phone has its pride. It doesn't want that BS. Well, I agree with you, Jan. My phone also has that kind of pride. It will not load that garbage on there. Ross says, talking mobile phones and technology while half of his countrymen having a loaf of bread to feed their families. Bingo, spot on. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate that. Willem Janssen van Rensburg says, check your phone, people. Heard in some states in the U.S., the app was downloaded automatically on people's phones. I wouldn't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, so keep an eye out for it, that they inject this malware onto your phone. It is really frightening stuff. Hey, the Viking Boys here. Welcome. Still waiting for your 350 grant for airtime. Download, but no apps. Yikes. Vernon Nylager's here. Vaccine stuff scared me. Why must be test subject vaccine? Well, Vernon, somebody has to be the test subjects. And so far, it's been primarily Americans who were the guinea pigs for this virus vaccine. So welcome to the party, South Africa. I remember back in February, Africans whining, racism. They're going to test the vaccines out on brown and black people. No. They tested out Americans first. That's not directed to you, Vernon. That's in reference to my video back in February in which a bunch of know-nothings whined about, Western pharmaceuticals were going to infect Africans to get a vaccine. And no. We are testing it on people in the West and have been testing it since February, different vaccinations. And so far we don't have one. So obviously it hasn't worked very well. But South Africa ought to be involved in this. They have advanced pharmaceutical capability with Aspen and others, and they ought to be working in the vaccine. So Corona's boring. Do the alien thing. How do you download an app if you have a 3310? Ooh, that is an old phone, my friend. Beth is here. Hi, Beth. Howdy, you favorite plumber. Cyril's the biggest thief, much worse than Jacob Zuma. Michaela says they can shove their app in their vax. I do not consent. I agree, Michaela. Moira T says hello. Skazi says hello. Welcome, folks. Thanks for coming over. Flying Dutchman. Hey, we got over 102 folks currently on the stream. Thank you all so much for joining. Really appreciate it. If it's a warm welcome for me coming back after I've been gone for weeks, so thank you. How is this app BS? What? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Moira says, do not download the thug surveillance CCP apps ever. No consent. I agree, folks. Hey, feel free to smash the like button, folks. You may not have liked what Cyril had to say, but hopefully you like the stream and my comments on it. All right, so let me get to some of the points that he made about the actual changes. So we're going to lockdown level 1 in South Africa, and what does that mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, gatherings will be permitted, but the number of people cannot exceed 50% of the maximum capacity of a facility. So 250 people can gather indoors, or 50%, 500 outdoors. Funerals will, however, still be limited, but they're raising the total from 50 participants to 100. And of course, in South Africa, we know that funerals are far larger than that under normal circumstances. Now, I love the way that Cyril pronounced the word recreation. He called it recreation. So apparently he is a deity. He's recreating something now. Actually, what Ramaphosa meant to say is recreation facilities can have up to 50% of their occupancy. Recreation, not recreation. Sports restrictions remain in place, so no crowds at Curry Cup, I suppose. There you go, folks. Screw sports, not like they're important to one's mental health and physical well-being and their overall health. Screw it. On the 1st of October, air travel will resume. Why the 1st of October? It's the 16th of September. Why not the 17th of September? Why the 1st of October? How many tens and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars will be lost to airlines between then and now? And how many South Africans, international travelers will be stuck and not able to go around? So only one land border post will remain open with each of the land borders of the countries around and surrounded by South Africa, whether we're talking about Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia. 3 airports will be open for travel: King Shaka Airport in Durban, OR Tambo in Johannesburg, and the Cape Town International Airport. The only 3 that allow international flights. When passengers arrive, they must present negative test results within 72 hours. Seriously? Some people will have been traveling longer than 72 hours. So if they started their journey, now they have to take another test? What a bunch of horse manure. Okay, so they will remain in quarantine at their own cost if they don't have a test. Why don't they just have to pay for a test in South Africa? Apparently you have the testing kits available now. We're giving them to asymptomatic people who are outpatients in hospital just for giggles and grins, Cyril. Why don't you offer tests to those who arrive? They can be quarantined until the test results come back in 24 to 48 hours. But you gave the impression they have to remain in quarantine for 14 days. Everyone will be screened on arrival. Oh, that's going to be joy. We already know how notoriously slow immigration officials in South Africa can be at OR Tambo. Wow, imagine this now, screening. And the lines of people stacked up shoulder to shoulder, potentially spreading a virus if any of them have it, while awaiting for the incompetent DERCO officials to process international arrivals. Oh, joy, oh, joy. I've stood in those lines at OR Tambo, ladies and gentlemen, coming on an international flight hundreds of times. And let me tell you, it's annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying. That's right. Even with a diplomatic passport, I've had to stand in line for ridiculously long amounts of time. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is not very well thought through. So present your negative test results. All right. And he's asking all international travelers to install the app. Do you know what I have to say to that, Cyril? Tech, foot sec. Cyril Ramaphosa, I have no interest whatsoever in installing your commie spyware onto my mobile phone, slowing down, stealing my bandwidth, and transmitting my personal data, and potentially stigmatizing me. And who even trusts their app? I bet you we probably have thousands of people who are negative whose results will say they're positive. You come in, stay away, beware. Danger, Will Robinson, Ooh, COVID positive person, run away. Don't look. Come on. You actually trust an app that's going to be accurate about this? Foot sec. No, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Not buying that story. Utter cock. Yes, Audrey says because the government's controlling people. That's certainly what the plan is here. You are correct in that one, Audrey. I'm with you on that. All right, so let me get here. What else we got? The curfew remains in place, midnight to 4 a.m. Why is there a curfew? Midnight to 4 a.m. I know why, because they don't want people congregating at shebeens and at clubs drinking alcohol. That's the bottom line. Why don't they just say that? Why don't they just close down the shebeens and the alcohol establishments? But why have a curfew so you can criminalize people who are trying to get to work or who are out late or trying to avoid traffic? Yeah, that's stupid. And when do we get rid of all these restrictions? Lockdown level -6? Is that when we finally get rid of this ANC nonsense? Alcohol for home consumption from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So what did they do? They added one more day. Ooh, now you can buy alcohol on Fridays. You couldn't buy it on Friday before. What the hell is going on with these people? Alcohol for on-site consumption can be purchased within the curfew hours, or outside the curfew hours, I should say. They've been thinking about this for some time, and President Ramaphosa has now announced all these confusing guidelines for level 1, in which there aren't supposed to be any restrictions, but there still are restrictions, yet they haven't published them. You would think that they would have them published on the press conference, which he just had. But no, the ANC in the coming days will publish the guidelines. The coming days? What a bunch of nonsense. What are you clowns getting paid for, other than pilfering from the public purse? Going to encourage people to wear a mask in public. I'm saying encourage. I didn't hear how he described it. He just said wear a mask. Yeah. So is it required? I bet we see some overzealous law enforcement officials who think that maintain 1.5 meters distance at all times. Again, a cough and a sneeze travel 3 and 4 or 5 times as far as 1.5 meters or further. So what is the point of that? Remain in well-ventilated spaces. Well, this is the president of a republic telling us this. We need a president to tell us to stay in well-ventilated spaces. Continue to wash your hands. Well, thank you for that. We couldn't get a public health official out to tell us that. Yes, but he wants you to download the communist application so that you can be tracked and stigmatized by your fellow South Africans. And if you're international travel, your garbage bloatware will travel with you outside the country. You want to bet you can't completely uninstall it? off your phone. Anyway, by the way, with Heritage Day coming up in South Africa, he is encouraging all South Africans to unite and to do the dance, the Jerusalem dance. Seriously? Why don't you just go watch the Kifness and see his Julius Malema version of, of that? Yikes. The Joking Atheist gave a super chat during the stream. Thank you so much for the super chat. Joking Atheist says, as always, thank you for all your shows exposing the African National Congress and South African corruption. People like yourself show that humanity still exists. Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure. And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I just spent a week with people who prove that humanity exists. Special Forces veterans, Special Operations Forces veterans, including Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and myself on an expedition in western Wyoming, a team-building sort of experience based on faith and fellowship. It was fantastic, and I'll be talking more about that in the Night Owls edition, which I'm going to start later because this stream here. So I'm going to start my Night Owls edition a bit late tonight, folks, and hopefully you can turn in. I'll probably do it at the top of the hour. I'll give myself an extra 25 minutes to get to and from the Postal Service because I have to run and do that. But let me catch up in the chat really quick. I think that's pretty much most of the lowlights from Ramaphosa. The lowlights, not the highlights, the lowlights. Our greatest challenge now is to ensure that a new surge doesn't occur. Well, okay. I thought you already told us the surge had come back in June when you lowered the lockdown. Anyway, and it said the challenge of rebuilding the economy. Well, for whom, Cyril Ramaphosa? You've made it pretty clear that that your views are based on race and that race is going to determine who gets to win in South Africa's economy. Pretty sad. Sasa Markovic says if he ever wore a mask while going to a shop to buy bread, he would know how unhealthy it is. I'm absolutely with you. I just had to wear a mask on flights and in airports the whole way. Talk about difficulty breathing and breathing in the stuff that's coming out and then the stuff that grows because of the moisture on the mask. It's vile and disgusting, and it's counterproductive. But anyway, ICE says countries like Germany have new daily deaths of 9, while Brazil have 1,090, a factor 120 times, but the population only 2.5 times. Yeah. No app, no vaccine. He and his Dunning-Kruger friends can shove it, says Stevie. Anthony Bauer says, how many deaths during each level to date? Yeah, it's a good question. That's how we should track it. Where were the highlights? No, ICE, they were lowlights. I gave the lowlights, ICE. Did you just turn in? Michaela says, I love watching the Kifness. Yeah, the Julius Malema song, Julius Malema, what a fella. Brett Sessoms is given $1.99 through Super Chat. Brett says, don't install that app. Yeah, good advice. And thank you, Brett, for drawing attention so everybody gets your advice. That's good advice. Don't install the app. It's just a way to stigmatize people. Anna Marie says, I have to go. The Army plane is waiting. See you later. Okay, Anna Marie's announcing her departure. Now departing at Terminal C, Gate 27. Anna Marie Forster on the U.S. Army C-12. As a VIP, she has a C-12 allocated to her. She's departing, and we'll see her at the next stream. Thank you, Anna Marie. Cheers. Willem Jansson on Unspoken. The second wave will hit you soon, guys. Chris, I think mid-October. Okay, thanks. Morris says, speaking of Postal Service, I post-registered mail on the 28th of August within Johannesburg. It's still in transit. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They haven't gotten around to opening up that post yet. That's why. Michelle Muller says, I'm off the other side. Bye, guys. What other side? Who are you leaving me for? Where are you going? ICE was being sarcastic. Were there even highlights? There were no highlights in his speech. It's all utter nonsense, folks. Yeah, so where are people disappearing to? 3 million jobs lost. How do you get them back? It's near impossible. Yeah, because businesses have folded, Vernon. You were spot on. You don't recreate a business and entrepreneurialism and drive and enthusiasm and a client base out of thin air. These people have no idea how business works or how to run a business or how to create business, how to create how to run a payroll, how to create jobs, how to build clients. They have absolutely no concept. They think that you simply dictate, and it happens. Well, we will create 1 million farming jobs by taking the land from commercial farmers. You are utter morons if you believe that, African National Congress. It's absolutely crazy. Jaco van der Merwe says the ANC must show us the past mortality rates of Norum seasonal flu, but they won't. It will expose them. Yep. Galaxy RSA says, are you American? Well, yes, Galaxy RSA. I am an American. My accent did give it away. For those who don't know, I guess we got some new viewers on the channel because I've been off the air for the past week. I'm Colonel Chris White. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. Pay no attention to the beard. This is my John Brown abolitionist beard, my Pete Retief stick it to Shaka for his betrayal beard, or my Paul Kruger beard. That's I'm doing my best to resemble one of these fellows like De La Rey. But I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. I was a military intelligence officer at the tactical, the operational, strategic level, and a foreign area officer, regional specialist for Africa. I served tours of duty in Africa in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Niger, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia, where I worked at the U.S. mission to the African Union. I've been involved in pandemic response, dealing with HIV, Ebola, tuberculosis, malaria across the continent, built schools and clinics, roads and highways, as well as wells. That's kind of redundant, as well as wells. Peacekeeping, counterintelligence, counterterrorism, teaching rule of law to African militaries, participating exercises, both maritime and land-based exercises in my 20-plus years of serving in Africa over the past couple decades, and 3 tours in Germany, 1 tour in Italy. Served in the Balkans and the Gulf during conflict, peacekeeping. Worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, the Pentagon. I taught at Iowa State University, and I was the Director of African Studies at the U.S. Army War College in my final posting. So yes, I am an American with a fair amount of experience in Africa. So I hope that answers the question that you had there. Oh, somebody look. Oh, we had a troll. Thank you, Tian and Lizan, for catching the troll. I missed that entirely. Wow. Okay. Cool. Always got to be someone showing up. So Galaxy RSA, I hope I answered your question. I am, in fact, American. I'm proudly American. I make no bones about it. And I have no shame. It's the greatest country the world has ever produced. And we are the shining star of the world, despite the current effort by leftists to undermine America. And this is what we're trying to do. Keep America great, folks. So there you go. There you go. Keep America great. USA Rugby jersey on. For those who don't know, new to the channel, I tend to wear a rugby jersey on all of my broadcasts and all of my prepared videos. Because I'm an uber rugby fan. I have a segment on the channel called Rugby Ascendant, which I interview rugby players, officials, club owners, and those involved in the sport, as well as I also do prepared videos on topics related to rugby under Rugby Ascendant. So you'll find that under my playlist. You'll also find a playlist, Liberty Under Assault, about U.S. politics in the USA. That's a segment which I started in June. That's there. And then you'll have, of course, a playlist on South Africa, which has about 150 videos on South Africa. So there you go. So Brett just, Rosalind Gheba gave a super sticker for 10 Rand 49 with a rainbow. Well, thank you, Rosalind Gheba. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Bye-bye, donkey. C'est un plaisir. Let's see. And then Brett gave a super chat. At least Rama condemned violence against women. He did, Brett, but it's not genuine. It's not genuine. He was a vice president, deputy president. Why didn't he address this issue the entire time he served under Cyril Ramaphosa? Why hasn't he addressed it from December 2017, well, early 2018, I should say, as the president, 2018 until 2020? He ignored it because they don't care. They're only addressing gender-based violence because the government's being embarrassed by it. And why? Because black women are the ones suffering the greatest violence under GBV. But of course, he defers and deflects by famously quoting about a month ago, he says, racism, it's the nature of white people to be racist. And that's why we have gender-based violence. So first off, claiming that 4.8 million people in South Africa are racist based on their skin pigmentation, that's vile. But that's what the president said. Not verbatim, but that's the sense of what he said. And that's the first thing. Second thing is, so white toddlers are the reason why black men rape and murder black women? Are you serious? Are you smoking that Zal? You see, folks, when people Zal, they put the saliva on the paper. And when people Zal, they share that Zal. What moronic stupidity coming from the head of a nation, a head of state. It's unbelievable. Michaela says, looting politicians should be put on trackers. I agree, absolutely. Sky, Greg T, welcome. Good to see you back. It's great to see you energized, refreshed, enjoying the stream. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And thank you all. So great turnout here. We had almost 150 on the stream. I really appreciate that, folks. I hope you're enjoying it. Like I said, I'll do a Night Owls edition, but it's going to be a little bit later start because I got to get to the post office and collect my mail before they jam it all in. Because they don't put it in overflow bin. They just jam it in the box. And I pull all my magazines out, and they're all shredded, and my bills are torn up, and I can't see what bills I owe. That's not a good thing. Vernon Eilager says, Sweden had no lockdown, show they're having low death rates. Why are people still wanting a lockdown? Well, that's a good point, but let's take a look at this. Let me go to the Worldometer. Let me see what the current status is of another country, which no one ever talks about. And this country got it absolutely right. Let me get to this very quickly, and I'm going to see where they're at currently now with this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go to the Worldometer, and I'm going to look it up. And this is now claiming close to 1 million fatalities according to this, but I'm not buying that because that's falsely attributed to it, ladies and gentlemen. We know this story. let me see. All right. So Taiwan, ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan with 24 million population, 100 kilometers from mainland China, the source of the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, the country which Dr. Tedros, the man who's in the pocket, bought and paid for by Beijing, the man who's in their pocket says, got it right, set the gold standard for a response to this. No, they didn't. They spread it around the world because they didn't get control of it. 3 to 5 million people escaped from Wuhan before the government locked it down, spread it to the coastal cities. And from there, Chinese, Europeans and Americans and Africans carried it back around the world because the Chinese failed. But anyway, Taiwan, 100 kilometers or so from mainland China, the source of this. Taiwan has 500 cases of coronavirus now after 10 months. They've had 1 new case in the last day, and they still have only 7 deaths. Ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan never locked down their citizens. Normal economic activity. They followed normal pandemic procedures by isolating the vulnerable. They shut down their ports so that people who were ill could not bring the virus into the country, and they continued to operate without imprisoning and criminalizing their citizens. 500 cases, ladies and gentlemen. That's what 24 million people. 24 million people. Can you believe that? The last time I updated that was like 2 months ago, and they had 423. So nothing is happening there. And I believe Taiwanese officials. Yet they were excluded from the World Health Assembly because Beijing pressured the World Health Organization into not inviting them to a virtual conference on best practices for COVID-19. Can you believe that? I can, because they're a bunch of turds. Let me see. New Zealand has 1,802 cases and 25 deaths. So they have nearly 4 times as many deaths as New Zealand, a country of 5 million people, compared to Taiwan, a country directly adjacent to China with 24 million people. And if you think that's something, let's do this really quickly. This is going to be interesting too. All right, so let me get to Iceland, okay? Iceland has 2,189 cases, right? 10 deaths. So more deaths than Taiwan. But Taiwan has 24 million people, and it's right next to China. Iceland is nowhere near China. It's isolated in the North Atlantic, and it has a population of 341,000 people. And they have more deaths and 4 times as many cases as Taiwan. So there you go. Speaking of those things. All right, I missed a few super chats. Let me catch up on those super stickers. So okay, Tian says, you have been banned. We have banned people on this channel who spoke a lot less crap than CR. Lazan says, I got cocked for no mask at a shopping center yesterday, but then saw someone not wash their hands after using the restroom. Security shouted at me, saw this and said nothing. Of course, because they're mindless idiots who know nothing about epidemiology. They're just simply following directions from their masters. Exactly right. Every single stop, street, and intersection has got bigger there now and has before the flu. Mara Faris says, hello, welcome back. Thank you, Mara. I'm glad to be back. Brett says, why did you pick the Army out of all the other... let me get back to it. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Somehow I've got... where'd it go? There's a comment there. Strauntloper is here. Good to see you at midnight. The carriage is turning the pumpkin. Joking Atheist, the thoughts on Cutie's Netflix debacle. I don't know about that, Joking Atheist. I've been in the bush, in the mountains, so I don't know what we're talking about there. So I'll have to do a little research on that one. I'm not a huge fan of Netflix. I have an account, but they piss me off all the time. They keep raising the price and reducing the offerings. Olaf says, welcome to the site. I hope you enjoy it there. Please, one of the rules, you may not talk Americanish. Okay, buy a donkey. There you go, says Rosalind Chaba. And Yako gave a super chat, says, great job, all mods, keeping us safe from trolls. So yeah, thank you. Good point there, Yako. Swiss chocolate, hey, loving it. Good to see you, Swiss chocolate. Excellent, welcome. And Lazan is telling Erica that's because they don't understand just because the boss said everyone was wear masks. Security followed me to the bathroom to come make me put on my mask. And thereby jeopardize you if they were actually infected. Why didn't they simply wait outside for you to come out and maintain their space? Ridiculous. And by the way, I assume it was a woman, not a dude, that followed you into the restroom, Lazan. Mara 40 says, what level we tune in, or what, we're still level 2. However, on the 20th, you go to level 1. On the 1st of October, you go to level 1. But you still have curfew from midnight to 4 a.m. You still can only buy alcohol Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. I like how I said 1700. That warmed my heart as a military person. They banned sneezing in Taiwan. That's how they achieved it, says Olaf. I don't think that's. Does Taiwan chip? No, they don't. They do effective contact tracing, and they shut their borders down, and they isolated the vulnerable, people with underlying conditions, and that's how they've kept it under control. How many people died of COVID in India? Should be millions. I don't know. Let's look at India real quick and see what India is reporting. India has 83,000 deaths according to this. I don't know how accurate that is. Whole world is involved in this scam, says Andre, the World Bank, the WHO, governments all over the world. Yep, I agree. They're all in on a scam. TB is a pandemic, no economic terrorism, shutdown. And Moira, tuberculosis is far more infectious than COVID-19. Yet we successfully handle it with effective isolation and treatments every year. Do you still, was a bioweapon, you think about it and the consequences? Iceland should worry about their landmass. It says, Iceland is splitting. It's splitting right in two, ladies and gentlemen. Bioweapon made in China in a Canadian biolab makes you wonder. I hope Donald Trump wins, says Marfari, as do I. You still support Netflix? No, I don't support Netflix. I don't like them at all. I have been a troll. What do you mean you've been a troll, Lynn? A troll Ramaphosa. Netflix is still better than DSTV. Well, I suppose. You must have massive CV. Even to repeat all that takes good memory. Well, thank you, Viking Boar. I have a 14-page CV, and I have a condensed version, which is 5 pages, still quite long. Yeah, I didn't even touch on a lot of things I've done. So thank you for that recognition, Viking Boar. Went to my bed, lifted the lid up and down for 10 minutes, gave me as much info as Ramaphosa. That's funny. All right, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. And I want to thank you for tuning into this live stream. Those of you who probably tried to go to Ronaldo's channel and found thousands of people there in the chat just zip by. You couldn't participate in it. Thanks for coming over and joining me. All the new folks who came in. If you're not a subscriber, Chris White Africa, hey, take a second. Reach down there. Smash that subscription button. Special introductory price today of no cost. Kostenlos, absolutely free. No charge, folks. You become a subscriber. Why not? Let's push the subscriber total up. We're over 8,000. Let's surpass Germ while he is deplatformed. I'm not laughing at Germ's circumstances, but while he can't do live streams, let's try to surpass his total of subscribers to get to 10,000, because I know some people want merchandise, which I'll be able to offer when we get to 10,000. So let's do that. Also, if you do subscribe, be sure to push the bell icon and say all notifications, because a lot of people don't get notified by YouTube. They're very capricious about how they do business. And also, feel free to leave a comment, positive, negative. If you write something nasty, then you might become the subject of a future video or simply get ignored. And finally, can you smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen? Can we get some likes on this? How are we doing on likes? Let me see where we're at on likes. We have, we're over 100 likes. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. So let's see where we're currently at. We're at 100. Oh, where's this thing at? It's not 109 like. 2 dislikes. Well, thank you, trolls, for disliking the video. Appreciate you being here. Living rent-free is always nice. I wish my mortgage was free. That'd be really nice. I'd have some nice pocket change, but I am paying a mortgage for my house because the bank owns it, not me. So contrary to home ownership, which is just a myth, the bank owns the house until I pay off the mortgage. Kind of like my car, but that'll be paid off very soon. Anyway, let me catch up on the final chat, and then I'll lock up here because I do have to scoot and get out of here for a little bit. Ramaphosa reminds me of Shrek. He does, Andre. That's what I was thinking watching that stream. It's like watching Shrek. I was waiting for him to pull his earwax out and light a candle with it, make a candle. Komototso Philippine Tebe. Did I get that correct? Komotso Philippine Tetse. No, hang on. It zipped across there. Let me get that back in. Komotso Philippine Tebe. Welcome. I don't recall seeing you before. You're most welcome here. North Iceland, South Iceland, or at least to be east-west. What are you getting at, Steve? Olaf says, my CV has one line. I'm white. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll send you a comprehensive CV. Play für uns Mensa. Okay, I'll do that La Dolce Vita on the way out. Mara says, we did miss you, Chris. And I missed you guys. It's great to be back, and I'm busy today. I've got tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, here on the channel, Dr. Victor Davis Hanson, the preeminent military historian. We'll be talking about the upcoming election, what's in America's future, and I'm going to slip in a question about the Peloponnesian War, just because I'm a military historian, a bit of a geek, and he is also the premier expert on the topic. So Dr. Victor Davis Hanson. And after that, State Representative Dawn Kiefer, who is my representative here. She's a conservative Republican running for re-election in November. So we'll have her on the channel too. All right. And then coming up very soon, I'll have Flock Cilias on the channel. Springbok number 637. Of course, remember a couple weeks ago, I had Springbok number 636, Andre Sneeman on the channel for an epic interview, which was fantastic. So that's coming up here soon. Cool. All right. Trolls go to sleep. We're all grown-ups, not misguided children. La Dolce Vita says, thank you. Cool. Margie Bauer just subscribed. Well, Margie, if you're here watching the stream and it got you to subscribe, thank you so much for that. If you just happen to come across the content or not on the stream, I'll thank you anyway. Recognize you here. Mara sorry, mispronounced it. Mara Bonnie's here. Hanson sounds like a great episode. It should be, Rob. I'm looking forward to Dr. Victor Davis Hanson tomorrow. I've got to confirm, make sure we're still on track for that. I've seen no updates, so we should be fine. Again, I was at Dr. Victor Davis Hanson, an outstanding human being. He is. Someone suggested to me that I try to get Thomas Sowell on the channel. He's like 93. I'd love to get him on, but I don't think he even does things anymore. So I'll see if I can try. It'll be awesome. I've also asked, I've tried to reach out to Dinesh D'Souza as well as his daughter, who has a book coming out next month on the history of abortion. So I'm looking forward to that. Sky Great T says, thank you. Awesome to see you again. It's great to be here, guys. Okay, I'm going to play Fit Uns Mensa on the way out the door, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Still 100 people watching right now. Really appreciate that. We're going to go out the door with Fit Uns Mensa in about an hour and 45 minutes. I will do another live stream for the Night Owls edition. I'll talk more about my trip. And I have the videos uploaded now, so I just have to load them in the system. Okay, folks, thank you so much. God bless. And where is Fit Uns Mensa? There it is. Okay, here we go. Fit Uns Mensa, die Tale ist in uns Blut.